Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're looking at two terms you hear a lot, empath and narcissist. We want to go beyond, the simple labels and really dig into the psychology, especially how these profiles interact, often in pretty damaging ways. It's definitely not just good versus evil.
Absolutely. It's fascinating how common the terms are, but how little the depth is often understood.
Yeah.
And to really get it, we have to start with empathy itself. It's not just one thing.
Right. You mentioned it's a deep psychological ability.
Exactly. Think of it in three parts. First, there's cognitive empathy. That's the intellectual bit, understanding someone else's view, putting yourself in their shoes.
Okay, I understand it. Got it.
Then there's emotional empathy or affective empathy. This is where you feel what they feel. Like their emotions are contagious. It's linked to specific brain areas like the insula.
So you're actually mirroring their feelings.
Pretty much, yes. And the third type is compassionate empathy. This is where understanding and feeling come together, and it motivates you to actually help.
Okay, so those are the types of empathy. What about this empath profile then, the cultural idea?
Well, culturally, an empath is seen as someone super sensitive, almost like a sponge for other people's emotions. Strengths, great listeners, very compassionate, intuitive. But the weakness is that same sensitivity. It can lead to total emotional overload. They often need a lot of alone time to recharge.
Can that sensitivity become a problem? Like toxic?
That's the tricky part. Sometimes that empath label can sort of mask things like codependency or really weak personal boundaries. And it's crucial to know the difference between empathic distress, where you feel others' pain so much it burns you out, and true compassion. Distress drains you. Compassion, interestingly, feels rejuvenating and leads to action. Building strength means moving from distress to compassion with good boundaries.
That makes sense. Healthy boundaries are key. Okay, let's switch gears to the narcissistic spectrum. Again, a term thrown around a lot.
It is, and it is a spectrum. It goes from healthy self-confidence all the way to a clinical diagnosis. Narcissistic personality disorder, NPD.
And NPD, that's pretty specific.
Yes, it's in the DSM-5. Characterized by things like grandiosity, needing constant admiration, and critically, much less empathy. Think inflated self-importance, fantasies of huge success, entitlement, exploiting people, arrogance.
But isn't there a kind of paradox, like underneath the big facade?
Exactly. That grand, often arrogant exterior. It's usually a defense. It's covering up deep insecurity or really fragile ego that needs constant propping up from outside. We call that narcissistic supply.
And how does empathy play into that?
Here's the really crucial and kind of scary distinction. Narcissists often lack emotional empathy. They don't feel what you feel, but they can be very good at cognitive empathy. They can intellectually understand your feelings, your vulnerabilities.
So they know how to hurt you.
Precisely. It makes them incredibly effective manipulators. They know exactly which buttons to push, but they don't internalize the pain they cause. This holds true for both the obvious overt types and the more hidden covert ones.
Wow, okay, so how do these two types, the highly sensitive person, maybe with boundary issues, and the narcissist needing supply, how do they find each other? It seems like such a destructive pairing.
It's often called a giver and taker dynamic, a sort of lock and key fit. But the attraction isn't really about opposites. It often comes down to shared vulnerabilities, maybe similar childhood wounds, unclear self-identity, boundaries on both sides. An empath might, without realizing it, try to heal the narcissist, maybe replaying old patterns from childhood, like trying to get love from a parent who couldn't give it.
And these relationships, they tend to follow a pattern.
A very predictable toxic cycle, usually in three stages. First, idealization or love bombing. Just overwhelming affection, attention, praise. It hooks you fast, makes you feel incredibly special.
Like a high.
Totally. But then comes stage two, devaluation. The switch flips. Criticism starts, maybe emotional neglect, disrespect. It's designed to undermine your self-worth, make you doubt yourself.
And the final stage.
The discard. Abrupt. Often really cruel abandonment. Happens when the narcissist feels their supply isn't enough anymore. Or maybe they've found someone new. And this whole cycle, idealize, devalue, discard, maybe you repeat it, can create something called a trauma bond. It makes leaving feel almost impossible, even when you know it's hurting you.
That sounds incredibly difficult. What kind of tactics do they use to keep someone in that cycle?
They have a playbook, really. Manipulative tactics that prey on an empath's good qualities. Gaslighting is a big one, making you doubt your own reality. That never happened. You're imagining things. You're too sensitive.
Undermining your sanity.
Yes. Then there's weaponized love bombing, used to regain control after devaluation. Triangulation, bringing a third person into the dynamic, real or imagined, to make you feel insecure, jealous, isolated. and playing the victim. When you confront them, they flip it. Suddenly they're the one who's been wronged. It deflects blame and makes you feel guilty.
It seems like the very nature of being highly sensitive or maybe codependent makes you vulnerable to this.
It can, unfortunately. Which is why healing isn't about fixing the other person. It has to be about self-protection and internal work. Setting clear, firm boundaries is absolutely fundamental. Learning to say no and stick to it. There's also a technique called the gray rock method. Basically, making yourself boring, emotionally unresponsive, cuts off their narcissistic supply.
Starve them of the reaction they want.
Exactly. Building strong support systems, friends, family is vital too, and prioritizing self-care rigorously. Often, professional therapy is really essential to heal those trauma bonds, rebuild self-esteem, and work on any underlying codependent patterns.
And the message seems clear. You can't fix or heal a narcissist. That's not your job.
Absolutely not. True healing comes from your own journey, discovering yourself, building your own solid sense of worth, strengthening those boundaries. That's how you break the cycle for good.
So really understanding the nuances here, the psychology behind empathy and narcissism, it gives us a much deeper insight into our connections, our vulnerabilities.
It really does. And perhaps it leaves us with a thought. How can recognizing these patterns, these deep psychological dynamics, empower you, the listener, to build healthier relationships, stronger boundaries, and a more solid sense of self-worth in your own life?